Hey everyone, I'm Frank Kane here to talk about Amazon Bedrock AgentCore, get you up and running with a hands-on activity here and give you sort of a visceral feeling of how this technology works. It's really cool. It's a way to take your agentic AI prototypes and turn them into production level solutions. So all the production level problems of deploying these agents at scale, dealing with external tools at scale, handling authentication to your application and authentication to other downstream tools, that's what this is all about, making all that super easy to deal with. So you can actually take that idea to a production setting and actually start generating some real business value for your organization quickly. What is AgentCore? Well, it's kind of a mishmash of stuff, but at a high level, it's all about the deployment and operations of your AI agents at scale again. So you don't have to fuss around with Docker or ECR or ECS or actually managing the containers under the hood if you don't want to. You can, that's an option, but you don't have to. It will wrap all that for you and deploy it to you in a serverless environment. So you don't have to think about managing all the underlying servers that run this agent. It will do that for you, and you just pay for the usage that you incur. The other cool thing about AgentCore, which is kind of unusual for an Amazon system, is that it works with any agent framework. So you're not tied to Amazon or AWS solutions here. You can wrap anything that you can dream up with AgentCore, really. It doesn't even have to be an agent for that matter. We'll see how that works in a moment. But you're not going to be tied to using Bedrock agents, although you can, obviously, if you want to. You're not even tied to Amazon's AWS Strands agent framework, which is the one that they came up with. You would think that you would be, but no, it actually works with anything. So if you want to develop an application using OpenAI's Agents SDK, or LangGraph or LangChain, or Crew AI, or whatever you want, that's a possibility. Now, I will say that if you use AWS's Strands Agent SDK, that does seem to get a little bit more support in terms of the examples and documentation that they give you. However, you don't have to use it. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. It gives you that flexibility to use whatever underlying AI technology you want. And you can deploy that to Amazon services easily using AgentCore. It also comes with this cool starter toolkit, and that's what we're going to use throughout this course to make it even simpler. So like I said, if you do want to get into the nitty-gritty of how all the underlying containers work, you can do that, but you don't have to. This starter toolkit will manage all that for you automatically. You just add a little bit of snippet of your code into your agent application itself, and it can do the rest for you. And it also includes some very handy shortcuts for testing your application once it's deployed as well. So we'll see how that works shortly. And it also includes several tools and capabilities you can include in your agents if you want to write a little bit more code. So it's not just about wrapping what you have. You can also extend what you have using AgentCore. So if you want to use its built-in tools like a code interpreter or browser control, you can do that. It also has built-in tools for handling memory, which is also another nasty problem, or for handling identity issues as well. So if you want to put in a little bit more effort, it has additional capabilities that you can integrate into your agent that are part of AgentCore as well. So it's not just about deployment, it's also providing a toolbox to you that you can use to extend your agents on top of Amazon technologies. So at a high level, let's look at the capabilities. So you have this agent that you wrote, that's kind of like the prototype that you wrote using the Agents SDK of your choice. And what it provides to you is this suite of additional capabilities like we talked about. So there's an identity component of AgentCore that we can use to actually manage the identity of the agent itself and how that interacts with downstream tools. There's also some capabilities for authentication for the people that are using your agent as well. We'll see that in a moment. There are also these built-in tools. As of the time of this recording, there's only a couple, the code interpreter and the browser control tool, but I'm sure there'll be more as time goes on. So if you do want to use AgentCore's built-in tools for that purpose instead of some other SDK's tools, that's an option for you as well. Big one is memory. So the problem that you have there is, how do I actually keep track of these conversations over time? How do I have a conversation with a user that can actually reference back to earlier conversations? That's where memory comes in. And there's both a short-term and long-term component of memory that we'll talk about there. So that's a very important issue because at scale that becomes a problem, right? The agent SDKs that you get for prototypes might save that memory to a little local SQL database, but that's not going to cut it at scale in production. It also has something called gateways that let you manage the connections to external services. So if you have an external database or service you need to hit and they don't expose an MCP server yet, gateways can make those look like an MCP server and make those super easy to incorporate within your agent as sort of that middle layer between the agent and that downstream service. And then overseeing all of this is the agent runtime environment. That's where it's actually deploying your agent to, what's actually running the code and the underlying servers that are hosting it. And then we have this layer of observability kind of overseeing everything. So the good thing about AgentCore is that it has built-in support to Amazon CloudWatch and integrates into that very deeply, so you can see exactly how your agent's being used, what tools it's calling, whatever you want to track over time, built in as part of AgentCore. So let's get started. I'm going to start by building an OpenAI Agents SDK example here, and we're just going to start with a standalone agent that runs as a prototype. Right after that, we're going to go ahead and deploy that using AgentCore and see how easy that is to do.